Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? It's D's World again. Got another reaction. We got Dr. Phil again. Well, I never did before, but it's a new one. And let's see if it's good, man. And it's giving some people are talking about it and everything. So let's go.
And TV host Danielle D'Souza Gill and Distinguished Professor of Education at San Diego State University, Dr. Luke Wood. So welcome to both of you. Now, let me start with you. Is it possible for white people to be discriminated against because they are the majority and discrimination involves power? Is it possible?
Absolutely. It is unequivocally possible. It happens all the time. This actually happens not only in specific instances, but this happens in a systemic way on our most elite college campuses.
Yeah. One thing I will say, I've been hearing this the last couple years now because I never used to think about this kind of stuff when I was younger, before my injury and growing up and everything, talking about the power stuff. But now when I'm going out more and I'm seeing that there's people that say that, like, oh, you know, that black people can't be racist and stuff like that. And to me, it doesn't make no sense. Like me, I am mixed a lot. I am Mexican. My mom is half Mexican, half Filipino. And my father, he's half white, and his other half, it's Mexican, Native American. So when they talk about all that kind of stuff, so I'm the quarter white in me, that makes me the power on y'all or something. I don't understand. I don't know, man, when they say power. So if you come over there, if it's black people telling to a white person and you say, oh, like some racist stuff, but it's not racist. But if the white people say it to the black guy, that's racist. I don't know, man. It's just you're being racist. You're just being on some boo-boo stuff, man. So all right, let's keep going.
And I would also say that this is happening not just in education, but in the workplace.
Well, is it justified, though? Because if there has been disparity and if there has been discrimination, if there have been minorities that have been excluded for years and years and years and years, is this the way to start to bring some balance and diversity back to those universities and workplaces?
Absolutely not. Affirmative action has been going on for over 50 years, so this has been happening for a long time. And even now, we've actually seen that it's gotten worse in the sense that race relations are so poisonous, and many people on college campuses actually feel like, because of all of this that's happening, they feel like they're being pitted against each other.
Doctor, what do you think?
Hey.
Well, I think I would very respectfully disagree. I certainly don't think that white people are disadvantaged in college admissions. In fact,
see how? Okay, let's listen to what he's saying. How? Okay, how?
I would say is the exact opposite, which is why there are policies and practices in place now to try to alleviate the historical burden. It's like if you ever played Monopoly.
It's like, man, if you're talking about the black thing right there, you're light-skinned though, so you know what I mean. Anyway,
before, right?
Let's hear.
Imagine like you have a person who's playing Monopoly and they get to go around multiple times, right? And then like halfway through the game, someone gets to enter into the game. And then because they get a turn, right, then the accusation is, well, somehow that game is unfair. The kind of accusation, what we would say is reverse racism, we really just view it as what we call race sliding. Race sliding is what happens when gaslighting is racial. And essentially, if you look historically, colleges and universities have prioritized admissions for students who are white.
Man, this dude.
Why is that? When you admit a student, it's oftentimes based upon your grades, high school grades, and your test scores, ACT and SAT, which are being phased out due to COVID-19. But if you think about it, the SAT and ACT have historically measured access to resources, the neighborhood that you grow up in. It is not a measure of a student's drive, a student's motivation. It is really a measure of their access. And ultimately, we know that when things measure access, they really measure white privilege.
Candace?
No, bro, no. No. So, no.
Are we compromising standards?
Oh, Candace Owens in it? She gonna cook it, man. Hey, shout out Candace Owens, man. She always cooks it.
We do that because we haven't fixed the problem down the line.
That's correct. It is the policies are harmful also to the people that they purport to help. and we have all of the evidence there to look at. When you artificially place a Black American into a school in which they do not belong based on their knowledge, doesn't mean that they go on to get A's. In fact, there was a Black adjunct professor, you guys have definitely heard of him, Dr. Thomas Sowell, who was teaching at Cornell University, and he found that the majority of the Black American students that were there were on academic probation. Now, these students were some of the smartest in the nation, but because they were artificially placed amongst their peers at Cornell University, they were failing on academic probation. These policies have never helped Black Americans. It's just basically policies that are put in place to make people feel good, right? I feel like I'm doing something when in fact I'm actually creating harm. You either know the answers or you don't.
When you say, hey, we have Black students at a particular school.
Hey, man, she just, hey.
Who aren't performing at that school as well. The immediate assumption that you're making is, well, maybe it's because they're not smart enough, they're not good enough, or they don't belong here. Whereas it could be about the experience that they're having at that institution. Professors who believe that they're not intelligent enough, that they don't have the capability to do the work, that they see them as criminals, deviants, dangerous, up to no good, or they talk about them with the they statements. They're lazy, they don't care, they don't really belong here. They're only here for the financial aid.
I'm giving you actual.
I have to be real though. If you go like in the hood people, I'm not gonna say all of them. All right. You know, because I kick with a lot of homie people, like people in the streets and stuff. I mean, I used to go kick in the streets and everything too, but people in the streets, I'm talking about a lot of them, like, they're there because they don't want to go to the next level. They want to stay one place. And they just always talk about the streets all the time, you know? Other people they want to go up. And the people that go up and go like a better neighborhood, they're saying they're, you know, Uncle Tom's, or they tell Mexican people, oh, you whitewash or anything like that. It's just like, dude, that's retarded.
Facts,
no,
right?
I'm giving you actual facts based upon extensive
you can say, well, maybe they
research
just don't feel good, but that's not the case. I mean, I went to university. I did not feel good, right? I didn't pull the best grades in high school, probably got into a better university than I should have gotten into based on my performance in high school. It wasn't because of my feelings. It's because I wasn't focused on it. And that, we're talking about a cultural problem, what's going on back at home, as was in my circumstance. And none of that is because of institutionalized policy. It almost seems like you guys refuse to accept that, you know, Black students aren't performing well. You feel like you have to have this burden of responsibility when, in fact, if you actually wanted to help, you would look at the facts, re-examine the fact that it's not helping anybody, it's not helping Black Americans to artificially place them into universities, and you'd make effective change.
But you're making the assumption that Black students are academically inferior, and they're not.
No,
they're some of our most brilliant students that we have.
Basic, no. That you are making the assumption that they are inferior.
You just said that they don't belong there.
Policies.
Yeah, I've been watching some stuff on YouTube. Talking about a lot of things to my you know, like Blacks, Mexicans, everything. I be seeing some people that don't really think. They just say, oh, they don't have the educations and stuff. That's why they can get the internets and everything like that. And they can't go right there to go right there for what's it called, the DMV right there, because they have a car and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this? I was watching another YouTube thing. I'm like, dude, what the heck are they talking about? And they came to the hood asking like other Black people, like, oh, do you have? They're asking, do you have your ID? Like, oh, Black people can't have their ID. It's like, what? And then they went over there to the hood asking some people, do you have ID? Like, yeah, I always have my ID. See, that's crazy when people, they just gonna assume people. Like, why are you gonna assume them? And it's like he's doing the whole time. You just assume a lot of stuff, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, in my opinion, you're just doing it all the damn time.
I'm talking about the students that are based on the policies that you are defending right now, saying that we should have these policies that let them into these universities, not based on their skill set, but based on the color of their skin. So you are assuming that they are inferior.
Comedian Tyler Fisher claims he has been turned down by 3 agencies because they said they just weren't looking for white men to book at this time. Tyler, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I identify as a Latino female now, so just adjust my pronouns. So I've been in the entertainment business for 17
What? Trolling? He's trolling?
years. And I think what we're not talking about is children right now. Thank God I had about 5 years where this was not happening, where race was not pounded over your head. This is destroying people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, the manager that told me, I can't work with you because you're white, he was a pawn, you know? And so it's so sad because I feel so bad for kids who won't have that chance. They're gonna go, oh, I'm told I'm white, so I'm not going to go for it. You know, what would you say to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old?
Yeah, because I was at my time when I'm younger, like in like the 2000s. People didn't really think that way the way it is now. Everybody's talking about the white, black more. I think like the Black Lives Matter and all the stuff put that way to everybody. But to me, I used to have black homies. I used to have homies, white, Asians, Indian, everything. And we was all cool. But now when you know what I'm saying? For my injury, came back 4 or 5 years coming out. Everybody's talking about it all the time. Racist, racist, racist. It's like, man, where did it came from right there? It's like, man, everybody, can we hug each other? Can we hug each other?
No matter what their race is.
Yeah.
What would you actually tell them? You know, should you give your job up? And let me ask you directly, do you think it was justified for me to be told, we can't represent you, you don't have the chance to now compete for jobs because you're white? Yes or no? Was that okay or was that not okay?
I think that what was described
yes
by
or no?
you.
Don't give me your little
let me
bubble
finish.
wrap.
What
Yes.
is described by you? Someone
Always get interesting.
telling you that you can't get that job because you're white does not sound right to me.
I did a show the other day, and they said, are you doing the next show? And I said, yeah. The guy said, I didn't know you were gay. He said, this is a gays-only show. And so that's why Hollywood sucks right now, by the way, because they're not hiring based on talent. What do we do about heart surgeons, airplane pilots? Like, how far do we want to go with this? Do you want the best heart surgeon, or do you want somebody who you think may have had it bad as a kid, or maybe their great-great-grandfather? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think
It
it's
is.
important to state how affirmative action actually harms everybody involved. So when you put a black student on a campus or put them in a job and you've given them, preferential treatment in order for them to be there, you've actually robbed them of knowing they've gotten an opportunity based on their own merit. So they're questioning themselves and their place in the environment. And for
Yeah, her too. I'll be watching her right there on YouTube, man. She be cooking people too. Yeah.
all the non-people of color who are surrounding them, they now get to look at any person of color and go, I don't know whether or not you got this job based on merit or based on preferential treatment. And I know this to be true because I'm a biracial woman who has those thoughts now because of the culture that we're living in.
There's a lot more to this than the headlines, correct?
Absolutely.
What is the issue? Because there is it has to do with seniority and
Underrepresentation.
Right.
Those are the words that were used.
Okay, and the fact is the vast majority of the teachers there are white, correct?
That's correct.
And so if you just go straight proportionality.
Just tell them, just like, hey, you're white, you can get another job. Is that what we're going to say? Let's see what you're going to say. Or it's like, oh, there are naturally going to be more white teachers released than black teachers because there are just more in the pool.
Well, if you even look at our last accessing cycle, there were roughly 150 or so teachers that were laid off. 50 of those teachers were black. So you're always going to have, anytime you're dealing with a layoff situation where you have, let me just give you the exact numbers. Minneapolis Public Schools, there are a total of 237 black teachers. Of those black teachers, 147 of them are tenured versus 2,652 white teachers, of which 2,129 are tenured. So clearly there is a disproportionate amount of white teachers versus black teachers.
Well, dude, in America, isn't it like 65% white people and 13% black? So of course it's gonna be way more white than black. I ever do this all the damn time. Doesn't like, oh, we're in the middle. What you mean? There's more people just like me, like me and my cousins and everybody. My mom, she's half Mexican, half Filipino. You think her, man? She work her butt all the time to where she's at. She was a teenager, had me, and she stopped at high school. She dropped out. She went back, got GUD or whatever, all that kind of stuff. Went back to college, finished it with me, And then she's all the way, she's up. She's successful, man. My mom she did her thing, but she never said, oh, this and this and this. It's all about what she gonna do. Like my mom's like, oh, white people got me. My mom never said no stuff like that, man. She just work, and she just grind. So she's like, what are you gonna do? Just cry the whole damn time or what?
Just so the current policies that are in place favor continuing to have the same policies that produce these numbers.
Yeah. So what part of that does favor retaining the black teachers?
It's not a black and white issue. It says underrepresented. So it protects teachers from underrepresented populations, which underrepresented could be based on sexuality. It could be based on gender. So to just cover it in a racial identification, I think is wrong.
Dr. Wood, you say that white teachers cannot...
I think it's just like excuses. Like when I seen that right there, it's just excuses. And I just told you, it's like me. Some people like that dude, he's light skinned, and the other guy, right? He might be half black, but then he's gonna see the black on him. Like me, I'm a quarter, and he's probably like half white, because he's light skinned, man, and I'm a quarter white. So it's like, dude, like, what the heck? So I should like be on his side right there, or what? I'm nobody's side. I'm just being me.
Conduct classrooms as successfully as black teachers.
A lot of people don't know this, but if you have the YouTube app on your phone, you could be using it to make.
But that's really only true with students of color, correct?
So what I would say is that when we
What's what you did say?
Well, what I say is that when we look at teachers who are the most effective with teaching our most underrepresented students, they tend to be individuals who come from underrepresented backgrounds. But the reason that they're also effective also with white students as well is because oftentimes your faculty of color aren't solely focused just on the cognitive, but also on the relational. Because relationships are a foundational precondition to effective teaching, learning, counseling, advising, or any support practice. Said differently, it doesn't matter how good you teach. If you don't have a relationship with the student, you won't be as effective as you could be. And our faculty of color and staff of color tend to do that.
You're talking about the art of teaching. You're talking about building relationships. They are actually failing when it comes to actually teaching these kids things. This is why.
Man, one thing is crazy about inside this era is you have a lot of kids right there that when you go into public school, it's like they push a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be doing. Talk about transgender and stuff. It's not even cool, man. That's why I think all that stuff is crazy for little kids, man. It's crazy, man.
Who's failing? I'm telling you, inner city communities.
And then like this dude, he's like, someone right there is gonna blame about all this and this and this. It's like from other stuff. It's like this generation is crazy, man. I don't know where this came from. I don't know. If y'all know, tell me right there. You know what I'm saying?
Baltimore, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, all of the inner city communities are failing black children because they're focusing on the art and not the actual facts. In Baltimore,
we're talking about teacher diversity, though. You're referring to the full density of the school.
I'm talking about the art of teaching, which you're saying they're better for the student. They're actually not better for the student, right?
So you're saying that faculty of color are not effective?
In Baltimore, which is an inner city, which focuses, I suppose, on the art of teaching, they couldn't find a single child that was proficient in reading and writing because they think that having somebody who looks like you somehow means that it's going to be better. And also, please, I have to clarify this because when we talk about these quotas and someone says, well, there's this many white people teaching and there's this many black people teaching, welcome to America. Black Americans, okay, I don't know how everybody's doing in their math these days. Black Americans represent just 13% of the population.
I just said that earlier.
White Americans represent 60% of the population.
That's what I just said too.
So if you walk into a room and you find that there's only 13% of the room that is Black American and 60% of the room is white American, you are actually walking into a room that is holistic.
How it's supposed to be like that.
What's happening in
cooking it like what? Of course it's gonna be like that. Like I just said right now, just grind and do your own thing.
In the industry as well, and Coca-Cola is getting a lot of attention for some of their sensitivity training with their employees. And your comment was that in part they're teaching some of their employees how, I say some, the white employees, how to be, quote, less white.
Absolutely.
How the hell do you do that?
Well, she took me out tanning this morning, so she just kind of walked me around Hollywood.
Oh, you should be a comedian.
Well, I'd like to make the point that it's not just Coca-Cola that is engaging in this sort of activity and these sort of trainings. I'm just using it as an example. Yeah, it's a great example, and it's happening in corporations and in schools all across America, and they are effectively teaching people. Coca-Cola said, quote, how to be less white. They assume that things like being a perfectionist, engaging in or having a response to objectivity, having a neutral or a nuclear family. These are inherently extensions of whiteness.
Listening to John Mayer.
According to Coca-Cola, these are extensions of whiteness, and they actually engaged in trainings where they taught their employees how to be less white.
It seems to me that if we're going to create this kind of balance at the university level or in industry, then we're going to have to create opportunities early on so everybody comes to that place where they're competing for the place in the university or the job with some kind of competitive equality. They've got the same educational background, they've got the same opportunities behind them, and if we don't fix that, I don't think we're ever going to get what we're trying to artificially create.
That's done. And that was interesting. Look, one thing I'll say it right here. If you want something, you got to push it for yourself. You can't blame this, blame that. Just do it. It's like, you have to just live your life and do it the way you want to. Like, I probably did it before, though. But look, man, I had a brain injury. I couldn't walk, couldn't talk. I'm not even supposed to do that stuff. But I told myself, I'm like, look at this. I'm about to push myself. I'm gonna just, y'all gonna be like, what the heck? And look I started walking like in like a year with the cane and everything, for like under a year. And I was supposed to walk in 10 years. And then I was walking without my cane in under 3 years. And then I just keep pushing. I couldn't even talk and walk for like I couldn't talk for years, I think 4 or 5 years. And then when it started clicking more for reading and writing, like 5, 6 years. And they told me I'm not supposed to do that again. And it was really hard to do that kind of stuff. But I pushed myself. Just like in this kind of way, you have to push yourself. You can't just blame everything. Like what happened to my stuff, I can't blame this. This messed up my life. No, I have to just push it and say, you know what? It happened. But I have to just try to get myself better. In this kind of way, this kind of stuff is it's ridiculous to me. It's just give you it's gonna put something in your head and like, oh, blame this. Oh, because I can't do it because of this. Oh, and that's why who wants to hang out with somebody like that? All right, you can't be like that. You gotta just be, oh, if it's not working for you, go somewhere else. All right. So it was interesting, man. All right, man. Well, tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, like.